Okay, so that's it. We are now live on our Facebook live stream. And may I just remind everyone here in the Google Meet platform that you are all muted po for a while we are, for the meantime, while we are at our session. So, yeah, i-unmute ko na lang po you will be able to use your microphone after the webinar for the Q&A session. So, yun po. So, after the session, you will be able to turn on your microphone for the question and answer session po with our resource speaker. So with that po, I will give the platform to our resource speaker, Dr. Maglaya.
Thank you, John. Yep, good. Yes. Right. Good morning, everybody. We're about to start our second session for today, and I hope everybody's doing well in the Philippines. It's super windy here in in South Australia. Our temperature is not so cold, but it's really windy. We're like about 17 degrees, and I know that in the Philippines it's a bit warm. So yep, I can see people from different places. Thank you for joining. And yesterday, I would say that yesterday was a very productive session. We were able to talk about a lot of insights about instructional leadership as well as administrative leadership when it comes to school leadership and managing schools. So, as promised for today, we're going to look into understanding our learners. And then from there, we're going to explore some research based classroom management practices because these are all related in terms of managing 21st century school. Instruction plays a significant role as we have discussed yesterday. So I'm going to start with a short recap of what we have discussed from yesterday's discussion, and then we'll move forward. So our first session for today will run until 10 a.m. Philippine Standard Time, and then we're going to have a break for 30 minutes. Then we're going to conclude with the last session from 10:30 to 12 Philippine time. And yeah, that would be the discussion. So for today's session, second session or first session in this morning, we're going to look into understanding the learners slash classroom management practices. And then after that, for the last session from at 10:30 to 12, we're going to talk about facilitating engaging lessons. All right. So how are you going to facilitate lessons effectively? And these are things that you can cascade to your teachers, being future school leaders or probably as current teachers in the classroom. All right. Someone is in Qatar, 4 a.m. Thank you for tuning in. That's such a big sacrifice to wake up at 4 a.m. All right. All right. Good morning. Yes, just keep coming. If you have some questions, feedback, type it in the chat box. Okay. So let me just pull out the presentation slides for this morning. Yes. From La Union. My grandfather actually is from La Union. He was the former mayor of Cabala Union. So Nagilian, I think, is near that area, Cheryl, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't been there for a long time. Yeah, let me just pull out the slides for you. Okay, there. Awesome. Yep. Okay. So, yeah, as promised, we will be dealing with effective classroom management strategies and reflections rather than concepts. And for us to do this, we need to know, who are we managing? Who are these people? Who are the learners? So, let's do a little recap from session one yesterday. So, yesterday we were able to examine the role and responsibilities of a school leader. So yeah, we examined the best practices as well, the characteristics of a responsible school leader. We also identify the common challenges and issues in instructional leadership. If you remember yesterday, we had a look at on a research, and we saw how principals or school leaders would divide their time or would prioritize their time in terms of the task. So those are some of the things. We also look at the challenges in terms of their administrative function, as well as in terms of supervising the teachers. So that was very heavy. Yesterday was intense, I would say. It's loaded with information. And then we were also able to reviewed, should be past tense, we reviewed the role description and common task in administrative management, as well as we explored ways on how school leaders can support their teachers. So yeah, so all of these things were discussed from yesterday's session, right? Hmm. Okay, so for this session, our objectives are as follows. We're going to revisit various classroom management strategies. I am aware that many of you here, or I would say maybe majority of you here, are seasoned teachers, so you might be familiar with some of them. Fantastic. If not, then this could be a good way for you to refamiliarize yourselves with some strategies. All right, they're not really new, but they can be reinvented or tailor fit to the current type of learners that we have. Most importantly, we will reflect on the way teachers, us, understand the learners. We will discuss some techniques on organizing and managing effective learning environments, which I think is essential for both teachers and school leaders. And then there you are. So those are the three major uh, points that we will discuss. And I'm sure along the way, encompassing, we will be able to, tackle some issues related to this. So the first question I would say is this one, right? Who are the learners? So nowadays, in most schools, except for graduate school maybe, but in most schools, we have the Generation Z as the majority of learners. All right. So these people, as you know, are born between the following year. All right. So they said 2006 to 2010. Some references would say, no, it's from 2000, year 2000 to 2015. They said that people born after 2013 or 2015, they're called Generation Alpha. All right. So, but basically, you have an idea about the range. So, born about or between these years, right? Different literatures would vary. Some of them says 97 to 2005 to 2009. So it depends, but basically like that. All right. So they are also known as the I generation, net gen, or digital natives or mobile natives. So if you're going to have a look at this one, the latest, if you can see, um, the latest, largest generation is the Gen Z with 25%. 57 of them use smartphone for hours a day. They use a screen, 3 to 5 screens, and 8 hours of total exposure. All right. So I'm not sure what is going on with this one. All right. Awesome. All right. So, yep. Let me just, something is going on with my presentation. All right. Okay. So yeah. So we were saying they are majority. 57 of them use smartphone and typically 4 hours per day. Let me just share. Sorry. Oh, oh, board. Mhm. Yep. Sorry for that. Okay. So this is not surprising, but I would say interesting to know that 98% of them would watch YouTube. All right. Maybe they have different reasons, but yeah, most of them are actually, I would say, open when it comes to their feelings. They talk about things. They are not afraid to express their thoughts. And sometimes teachers would find this too much. All right. So, but they are. This is what they are. This is what they do. Right. Surprisingly, 83% of them would still prefer to do face-to-face conversation. And now, the thing about the Gen Z learners is that even though they are tech savvy, they are very involved with technology, they still prefer communication, face-to-face communication, and at the same time they are more interested with practical learning, hands-on learning, compared to the way we were taught before, with which is loaded with a lot of lectures. For Gen Z, it's the other way around. They want to be involved more in terms of the process of learning, practical learning, if we could say, hands-on learning. And this is where the classroom management issues would come in, because for each type of learners, for each kind of learning process, they will have different responses. So for new teachers, or let's say teachers with less than 3 years or 5 years of experience, it could be daunting for them. It could be hard for them to deal with Gen Z learners, because for them they are too much. Oh, they talk too much, they express themselves so much. It seems that they are not paying attention because they are into their gadgets, or they're just doing things by themselves. So these are some of the observations. But apparently that's one of their, for them, that's an effective way of learning. So quite interesting to look at. All right, let's look into this statement, whether you agree or disagree. All right, feel free to express your thoughts. Yeah. Right. So let me read it for you. Classroom management issues are of highest concern for beginning teachers. What do you think about this? Yes. Let's let's see the chat box, okay? Classroom management issues are of highest concern for beginning teachers. Tell me your thoughts about that. Let's, yeah, I'm also looking at some of the questions over here. There you are. All right, let's see. Let's see what you've got. I have to look into your agree. Yes, yes. Most of us, All right. So I'm sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your feedback. Yes. Awesome. Fantastic. Yep. I would agree on this. I have been. I told you I was a dean of a university, and with my practicum students and with my fresh graduate students, these are some of the things they would always tell me, that it's sir, it's so hard to manage the class. All right, and this is no surprise, because of course for beginning teachers, most of, or many of the beginning teachers do not have the grasp yet of classroom management techniques. They have known it from book. They have limited practice during the practicum. But once you are in the real scenario, then the story is different, right? And that's normal. Don't feel bad about that, okay? So new teachers, neophyte teachers are usually faced with struggles in classroom management. Surprisingly, with seasoned teachers also, I had a chance to had a conversation with I had a conversation with a group of school principals in Malaysia. I think I mentioned this yesterday, that I gave a training to them as well. And I'm also surprised when the school principals with seasoned teachers would also say the same thing, that still classroom management is one of the issues that bothers many teachers, right? One of the issues also concerning classroom management is also the way students were prepared, the way students look into learning. And when we talk about Gen Z, the paradigm shift in education has obviously been there. Evidently, we've seen the change. And the intervention of technology also played a significant role when it comes to classroom management. Right. Just remember, for those seasoned teachers, the way we learned before or the way we were taught before cannot be 100% implemented with the way we are teaching the learners today. So you see that, um, that's challenging. Okay. The thing is, sorry, I was just reflecting on the last slide. The thing also that we have to consider is that the support. I'm trying to connect this from yesterday's session when we were talking about supporting teachers. So as school leaders, it's also vital for us to look into the type of support that we give to teachers with less than 3 or 5 years of experience. What type of support they need, what intervention is on place, and how do we follow up on their progress, right? Instead of talking about young teachers in the classroom, like, oh, they don't know, her class is so noisy, I don't know what's going on there. Why not find time, have a coffee with that teacher and say, hi, I noticed this. Do you need help on that? I could help you with this, things like that. So sometimes it takes some little bit of maturity to offer help and to accept help as well. Yeah. All right. When I was a new teacher, let me give you a tip. When I was a new teacher way back 18 years ago, it was also a struggle for me because that time I was 20, 21 years old. Yeah, 20 years old. And my students are 16 years old, 16, 17. So which is quite close to my age. So the first week was a hell for me. Like, how can I manage this? They see me as their friend. They see me as an, a brother for them, you know? And the thing I did first is I tried to spend time with more senior seasoned teachers. I asked help. I observed their classes, even their body language. I was taking down notes, and then I try to adapt, the best practices that I've seen from those seasoned teachers. And then every time I go to the classroom, little by little, I'm trying to copy them. And as months go by, I've seen that, oh, okay, it's working. So these are also some of the things that you can do. Benchmarking, you know. Okay. So this is quite interesting. What is your classroom management profile? So there is a link over here, and I want you to check your classroom management profile. Let me just give you this link. All right. So this would take you about 3 minutes. It's not very long. Let me put the link here. Sorry. All right. Mhm. Okay, so it's in the chat box. You just need to click the link and it would automatically give you the document. And it will take about 3 minutes maybe to fill out the form. And then we'll discuss the results. Okay, I'll be here waiting for you guys. I'm gonna post that also in the Facebook Live. So, there you are. It's there. So yeah, fantastic. Yep. Okay. Yeah, one of the questions here that not really a question, but it's an insight. If the teacher is assigned in a place where another language is spoken, and yeah, I could imagine that that could be really challenging. Yeah, you can multitask, so I can just address this while you are working. Yeah. Well, language barrier is definitely a big challenge, I would say. I work in Mongolia. They speak Mongolian language. I was there. I lived there for 6 years. And when I got there, I do not know how to speak the language. Until now, I don't know how to speak the language. But um, one of the challenges I had was really the students would sometimes they would misbehave and they would use their own language. So that's where your how will I say that? Um, your authority would come in, and you have to really take control of the class and say that, excuse me, this is an English speaking classroom, that you have to set the rules. Now, in this case, since this is, I think, talking about local language, so I think support here is extremely necessary. There must be a person that would support the teacher to to bridge the gap in terms of language. All right, so please type in the chat box what was the result of your short quiz about your classroom management profile. Yes, okay, then I'm going to reveal to you what does it say. Well, yeah, it's also in the document. The document would also tell you um, what type of classroom manager are you based on your responses. So you have to be honest on your responses, so you'll get an accurate result. Lovely Sheena, the page cannot be found. No, you have to copy the link and post it in your browser. I literally have the document right here with me, so it is found. So could you try that again, please? Thank you. It automatically goes to your download page, actually, so you can see that in your computer or in your device. Yeah. Okay, so results are in. Yes. Authoritative. Oh, look at that. Guys, can you let's just put it this way. When you type your result, can you also type the year of experience that you have as a teacher? So for example, you say authoritarian and then type the year. Yeah. Thank you, Clares. Authoritative 7 years. All right. So because we'll try to look if there is really a connection when it comes to the years of experience. Authoritative 4 years, not bad. Evita, yeah, keep going, guys. Yep. Authoritative 6 years, right? So just keep coming. Yes. So I'm gonna share the slides again. So we'll have. Mhm. Authoritative style 1 year. That's not bad. Right. So here are the following. So statements 1, 3, and 9 refer to the authoritarian style, as you know. So these responses uh, are the interpretation, I mean, for the responses are also presented in the file that you have. 4, 8, 11, 6, 10, 12, 2, 5, 7. Take a look. All right. Now let's find out what does it say. So here is the authoritarian style. Places firm limits and controls on the students. So they rarely gives hall passes and recognizes excuse absences. They are vigorous when it comes to discipline and they expect swift obedience. Students are not allowed to ask questions. They just need to follow the directions. This is how you do it. This is the requirement. And if one student say why, and you say because that is the requirement, because I said so, because this is how it goes, because this is how it is designed. So authoritarian, there's nothing wrong with this, but if it's overdone, then that could be a problem as well. So I think all of these styles can be combination. It depends on the type of situation that you are in. But I guess with proper understanding of your set of learners and proper, how will I say, exposure to different type of learners, you'll get to, balance what you have. But that profile that you have, this is a macro view. It doesn't mean that it's 100% accurate, but it's a macro view of what you are as a classroom manager. All right. So let's keep going. How about the next one, the authoritative? All right. So this is slightly different with the authoritarian, because authoritative, they also place firm limits and controls, but they encourage independence. It's like, all right, do this, do that, but you can also try this. You see the difference between the authoritarian? The authoritarian will say, do this, do that. This is the only way, right? So authoritative are, I would say, they are more reasonable in terms of explaining the basis of their decisions and their rules. So they can be nice, polite, but they are also firm when it comes to reprimanding students. They usually call students' attention if the student is really disruptive in the class. Unlike with the authoritarian, the moment you miss something, your attention is called. All right. So in the authoritative um, cluster, students have the opportunity to learn and practice their communication skills. They are encouraged to ask questions. Now, the next one, I'm not sure if we have we have this, all right? The lazy fair. This is the do your own thing. This could be tricky because this usually works in the university setting, in college, in tertiary education, but not really on basic education. So this is more on providing them the liberty to do what they want. All right. Teacher accepts the student's impulses and is less likely to monitor their behavior. That's why usually teachers who are like this, they're tagged as the lazy teacher, So because these teachers are, many of them are people pleaser. They don't want to hurt student feelings. They are hesitant to say or to tell the students that there is something wrong. I've met teachers like this, and when I ask them and they say that, no, because I don't want to hurt their feelings. For example, they submitted a project that's full of effort, and the teacher would say, oh, thank you, this is well because of your effort, da, 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 da. But the teacher should realize that you're not grading the effort, you're grading the outcome, the output. I mean, you're grading the output. So you have to still tell the students that, yep, I appreciate the effort, but this is the rubric. You did not meet the rubric, you fail. So this type of teachers are struggling in terms of providing feedback to their students because they are afraid to hurt their feelings. So as school leaders, as principal, this is where help is needed. Your support is needed over here. So in terms of classroom management struggles, this is where students can easily interrupt and the discipline is likely to be not consistent. Right. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's not you. Maybe you know some teachers who are like this. So think about that. Maybe what type of support they need. So they need support in terms of classroom management, in terms of providing feedback, in terms of facilitating skills. When speaking with students, or maybe some sort of assessment skills training as well, so they would understand how to properly mark their students, because sometimes this also stems from that feedback, that they say that, oh, they are not fair, they don't want those kind of feedback, so they just tend to be more, okay, do your thing, right? Right. And then the next one is the indifferent ones. So they don't want to impose anything on the students. They feel that class preparation is not worth the effort. So these teachers do not really prepare. which is dangerous, of course. Very little learning occurs, so everyone is just going through the motions and killing time. Students have low achievement, motivation, and lack of self-control. So I think this is very rare in the Philippines, especially with the public school. This is very rare. I seldom see this type of teachers, and usually these are the problematic ones, the problematic teachers. But sometimes on a very very rare occasion, sometimes it's also good not to impose certain rules on students, especially on student activities. Sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, sometimes we allow students because that's the only time we can also see, oh, how far can they go? What else can they do? Then from there, we can, okay, stop. We'll go from here. So, yeah, I'm not sure if some of you were in this category, but it's good to know. I think I was looking at the comment at the chat box from Facebook and Google. I'm looking at, I think most of you are in this one, authoritative. Amazing, amazing job. And authoritarian. Yes. Who? Okay, let's keep moving. All right. Now, what can you say about these thoughts? If you don't plan well, the student will plan for you. All right. What do you think about this one? All right. Come on. Feel free to type in your comments, feedback. Yep. If you don't plan, the student will plan for you. Right. Because the reason why I put this is because sometimes, not sometimes, I would say most of the time, classroom management issues stem from poor planning. There's poor planning. So that's why the classroom is mismanaged. Sometimes teacher would say that, oh, sorry, I extended 10 minutes because I was really involved. I was teaching so hard. No, excuse me, teacher, that's poor classroom management. You extended 10 minutes, you extended 15 minutes, and the next subject is waiting, the next teacher is waiting. That is poor classroom management. 3 minutes, less than 5 minutes, forgivable, you know, because it's all about planning. So let's take a look at this one. What is then classroom management? We've been saying this, you've been hearing this for a long time, all right? So simple, if we put it as an operational definition, this is how we, of all the things that a teacher does to plan and organize students, space, time, materials, so that instruction and student learning can take place. So it's all about putting things together to achieve maximum learning outcome. So that is classroom management. So if we live in an ideal world, which is of course not, ideal classroom would be the following, right? It is a positive place where student can come to, or work towards specific goals before them, and the class objectives are well presented. The teacher is to be positive, organized, everything rolled into one, confident, at the same time compassionate and outgoing. That is the ideal classroom. We don't live in an ideal place, right? Okay. Mhm. What are the characteristics that we have to look at when we talk about teachers being in control of a classroom? So if you are school leaders, in relation to our topic yesterday, school principals, school leaders, you do your observation. These are some of the things that you can look at as well. So if you want to look at the high level of student involvement, most of the time you will see students are working, right? You want to look into clear student expectations. You look into how teacher tells students about the objective of lessons and tests. The students are not surprised that, oh, we're going to have a test. Okay. But no, you will be tested based on the following areas. Another is there's little wasted time. There's little time for confusion and disruption. It happens. Sometimes there's confusion, or some minutes or time would be wasted inside the classroom. That's normal because we cannot control everything and we cannot predict what's going to happen in the classroom. But then again, the teacher should have a discipline plan or would post some assignments to look into work orientation. So is the teacher does the teacher practices procedures until they become routines and know how to bring class to attention? In short, command in the classroom. So do they really have the command in the classroom? Oh, I got a comment from here. Mm, I will have a hard time teaching if I don't plan. I always sacrifice my weekends just to prepare my lesson for the next week. Yeah, correct. I mean, I'm not happy for that. I agree with what you said. Planning will result a very prepared class discussion, as the teacher will have a smooth time teaching the students. That's correct. But try not to sacrifice your weekends, guys. At the end of the day, you are all humans. We are humans. Do you remember yesterday from our topic? We were talking about your your personal health, your personal welfare. So it should come first above everything. Right. So try not to. All right. So what are the two major goals in terms of classroom management? First is to foster student involvement and cooperation in all classroom activities. So make sure that the students are engaged. For our next session today, the next session after the break will be about facilitating engaging discussions or engaging lessons. How do we involve the students? I mean, of course, not of them will be involved, but at least we try our best for them to be involved. Of course, another goal is to establish a productive working environment that students are really there to do the task, right? So, why is this important? I would say this is quite self explanatory. The importance of classroom management boils down into the following with the following points. So the teaching and learning happens when students are there to cooperate, ensuring that students learn more because the class is well managed. So when we talk about classroom management in relation to learning and teaching, we also talk about the effectiveness of instruction. All right. So how effective the instruction is, that would depend on how the classroom is managed, be it physical classroom or online classroom. So another thing that we could look at is the correlation of high achievement, since it increases. Take a look at this one, quality learning time. So if the learning time is well managed, possibility is they learn more, they would increase result. The result would increase, the achievement will be higher. Uh, so interesting question. How will you comment on teachers who are TikTok, Facebook manage their classroom as they do with their students? They feed their students as in nakikiusap, etc. Stop using social media in your classroom. Okay, stop it. All right, stop it. Get out. Avoid problems. You know that these students and the parents of these students can file child abuse case. Because they are minors, so they cannot decide for themselves. Stop using them in social media. All right. So here, if you do that in Australia, you'll be in trouble. I'm telling you. You'll get fired. Or the worst is you'll get sued. So stop using social media. Stop doing Facebook Live in front of your class, or shooting students with and posting it in your TikTok. Stop doing that. You want to be a social media star? Leave the teaching profession. All right. Or do not involve your class in your social media drama. All right. Because again, in relation to this, that is not relative to effective instruction. It's not a key to measure student success and in terms of learning. All right. So please set your priorities straight. All right. So, what are the determinants of classroom management, learning experience, and behavioral indicators? They need to see the importance of learning vis-a-vis. They need to be responsible that I have to behave on a certain way so that I could achieve this. Now, many questions would arise. Why do students misbehave? There are millions of reasons, uh, to be honest. Maybe some of the reasons we don't know. So some of the reasons teachers cited: number one, they are bored. When students feel that, I already know that, I'm not going to listen. And if I'm not going to listen, and because I'm not listening to you, I'm going to do something else. And that's where problems would arise. So we cannot avoid this. Sometimes we have advanced students that they really know everything. So what we can do is call their attention maybe and give them some leadership roles, all right? Or do some groupings, peer peer facilitation, discussion, leading discussion groups. Some of the things you can explore. The instruction is uninteresting, especially for Gen Z. We're talking about Gen Z a while ago. So for them, they are visuals. They want to see it and they want to do it. Instead of just telling them, okay, open your book, go to page 5 and read this paragraph. That doesn't appeal to most of them, right? The pace of the instruction is incorrect. It could be too fast or too slow. Sometimes we're not aware that we're going so fast, or we're getting like very slow. So from time to time, stop, ask them, how are you going? Are you getting this? Okay, which part is not clear to you? Any questions? I want you to ask questions. Encourage them to ask questions instead of saying, do you have any questions? Maybe you can ask, give me at least one question. Group one, what's your question? Give me one question. You know, you try to encourage them to ask questions as well. Or maybe you could ask them to ask questions to another group of students. So you can do that as well. So there's not enough interaction between and among peers. Looking at the Gen Z learners, they love this. They love interaction. So try to give them some interactive activities. Vary the activity. I think that's the key, right? Of course, fear of failure. One of the things that I notice with schools here in Australia, they actually encourage students not to be afraid of failing. So they would say that, all right, this is the test. If you fail, that's all right. We will provide support. This is what we can do for you, things like that. So we're not saying to encourage failure, but we're saying that if that happens, let's try our best to help the students. I know I've met some school principals in the Philippines that they have very, very strong remedial program. So maybe try to strengthen that if you have that in your school or in your department, department based. And then you can put, all right, so let's try to have a remedial program, not just one time but consistent. I think consistency is the key here. So yeah, some prevention strategies that we can explore would be um, serving as a role model in terms of the expectation of the conduct. All right. And starting the class on time and ending the class on time is also encourage. Yes. Engage students. Yep. How do we engage them? Planning is the key. All right. So some students who would like to seek attention, because they're not so engaged. So what is the plan? How are you going to go with that? How would you plan? So you have to look also into your learning competencies. What are the topics? Align them with the skills, and also try to do a little bit of a research. What topics are appealing for the students? What topics are interesting for them, or what issues they feel more involved? Yeah. So do not deal with students when you feel emotional. Yeah, we are all human beings. We're not robots. So if you feel that you're not in the condition to deal with them, then don't. All right. And another important thing is provide a clear set of rules. Somebody asked, how do you engage students through planning? I think, Ching, I already answered the question. As I've mentioned, we engage students through planning by looking at your learning outcomes, planning it based on the learning outcomes, looking at understanding students' interests. So when you put on a topic that's of interest to them, they might they might be more engaged. So for example, you're talking about writing, teaching, you're about to teach figures of speech. Okay, I remember one of the things I did is I wrote the lyrics of the song of One Direction. That time One Direction was so popular, from "You Light Up My World Like Nobody Else," blah blah. I wrote the lyrics, and then from there, okay, I want you to circle. I have circled the words or the phrases. What do you think these phrases are? And they will say, "Oh, teacher, this is." I think it is a simile. This is a metaphor. All right. So that's a figure of speech. They are so engaged because it's based on their interests. So engagement means understanding your learners. Of course, without compromising your lesson plan, the topics, right? The competencies that you need to cover for that particular session. Right. Now, mm, some new teachers would struggle on this one, but let's revisit the 3 steps to teaching a procedure. Giving instructions can be daunting sometimes, but I'm telling you, if you give the right instructions, it's going to be a walk in the park. When I say right, it should be clear with reinforcement, with proper follow up. So teach, rehearse, reinforce. Teach the skill, let them practice, reinforce. What do you mean by reinforce? Ask them to do it again with little guidance, and then provide them similar activities so you can see if they still remember the skills. Nowadays learners would have a very short attention span and memory. So especially adults, if you're teaching with the adult learners, oh my god, their memory is just too short. All right, let's keep going. Right, there are some strategies that actually work according to research. So expect the best, teach the rest. All right. So students learn to be on task and engage, and the learning activities you have planned for them is to remember the following. So first, teach, and reteach routine classroom procedures. Again, as a school leader, we have to guide our teachers in terms of providing support on how they would establish routine in the classrooms. Public school teachers are very good at this. I really admire them for you know being able to master routine. Like the teacher would say, I want you to do this. This is your time limit, and this is how you do it. Right. So that's another thing, another skill that you need to master. So, for example, you give a quiz, or you're giving a quiz to the students, and you tell them, all right, you have 5 minutes to finish this quiz. I don't want to hear any noise. And this is the paper that you need to work on this part, blah blah, expectations, and what are the things that they cannot do, and the things that they can do. All right. So sometimes students don't get that right away. Sometimes they get it right away. So again, by merely establishing the routine from the beginning of the school year until the end of the school year, at the end of the day, they would somehow master that. All right. Now the problem is, what if I want to change the routine? All right. What if I think that there's another approach that can work? That's okay. You can reestablish the routine as long as you provide a good explanation and probably some fun ways to do that, right? Okay, another thing that you can explore is to model or provide exemplars for excellence in student work and attitudes. Make sure to recognize students who are behaving well or performing well. Okay. Another approach is the FFC approach, which is called fair, firm, and consistent. So we have to be fair when it comes to applying consequences. So, for example, you say they will get -2 points for the quiz if they will not spell it correct, or if they will not. And we have to be fair on that, okay? Because students, they spot inconsistencies and they will call you out, you know. So you don't want that. Like, oh, why did you do this, teacher? Why about her? What about da 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 da? So you have to be consistent when it comes to your whatever rules that you want to implement in the classroom, because they will see this as favoritism, and you don't want to be tagged as that. So FFC, fair, firm, and consistent. Another approach you can do is to accentuate the positive. So build a positive, all caps, professional rapport with students. Professional. All right. So you're not commenting into their Facebook post, you're not following them on TikTok. Whatever you say that, oh, you will tell me, oh, Romel, it's 2023 now. No, whatever you say, that's personal. So you're not building professional rapport with them. Unless you are using an official Facebook and you are communicating official things, official announcement, that's fine, I would say. But if you are, liking their pictures, commenting, um, that's not really professional. Right. Argue all the way you want, but you can't. Actually, here in Australia, we are not allowed to connect with students in any social media account. They are only allowed to email us using the official university email. So, and it works well. Too much familiarization with the student is also not good. All right. So, maintain the professional boundaries. This could be a challenge also for young teachers, because but it's not your fault, because they see you as one of them, all right? But if you establish professional rapport, then it's going to be a bit easier for the teacher. Establish a positive classroom environment. Greet students at the door every day. This is maybe a little thing, but some teachers would just enter the room with okay, Hitler is gone. So please encourage positive environment, and starts with you. You enter the class. Good morning, everyone. How are you today? And then, okay, if you think they are not yet ready, just stand for 5 seconds, look at them, and start talking. All right. So it's a matter of, self projection as well, and being positive. Not saying all the time, all right, but at least try to encourage them. Model positive behaviors and attitude you desire in your students. So, for example, you don't want them interrupting their classmates, so do not interrupt them also when they are explaining something, when they are explaining a topic, simple things. So you have the model also, right? Be prepared. We have mentioned about planning a while ago. So be prepared for changes, even at your best laid plans. It happens, right? That you prepare for this lesson, but when you're in this class, oh, it's not happening. It's not working well. So have various plan B, C, D, and E. And I've met hundreds of Filipino teachers who are very good at this. I notice with native speakers, they're not really good at this. I've noticed this one. I observed this. I mean, based on experience. If I say that, oh, this teacher is, oh, you need to do this because we have this set of students and they don't have plan B and C. But Filipino teachers are very good at this, very creative. So try to plan different activities in terms of, if ever one thing won't work. Anticipate possible hiccups in your lessons and activities, possible interruptions, if you like. So, yeah, it happens. And sometimes you need to do some adjustments, and that's okay. because not everything is within your control. All right, so we're about to finish. Just gonna go. This is just a session for classroom management. We have more after this. So classroom arrangement can also be considered. So make sure that students can see and hear you clearly. So arrangement is determined by learning activity, not preference. All right. Be more inclusive also. Know your students if they have special needs. Be very helpful. Constant communication with classroom advisors and designing an intervention plan. So think through class procedures and learning activities. Arrange the room in the best positive way. Of course, safety is the key. So another thing that you can look at is awareness of what's going on in the classroom, that you have to know what is going on in the classroom. Go around, whether it's physical classroom or online classroom, although online classroom could be extra challenging. Um, so when discipline problems happen concurrently, deal with the most serious first, right? So getting angry in front of the class or getting stressed do not reduce future misbehavior. So do not try your best not to show them too much anger. I know that you feel like exploding. Firm, balance, and at the same time straight to the point. So actually some students would feel more challenged if they say, oh, she's angry. Oh, now this gets more interesting. The teacher is angry. So do not give them that power, right? Do not give them that point of being entertained that because you're angry. So use sarcasm or sometimes try to ignore what they say, but look into their actions and observe. So that is also important. All right. In terms of misbehavior, it's also important to try to find the root of the problem. Again, so if you have a chance to speak with a classroom advisor or some of the classmates, you can also find some reasons and probably you could understand better and you could design a way on how you can approach the student. And in some cases, you might need the help of the guidance counselor. So deal with misbehavior without disrupting the learning activity, right? So, or probably less disruption if it's really unavoidable. So use effective behavior cues. So focus attention on entire class. Silence can be effective sometimes. You just don't say anything and you just look at them for a few seconds. Try to use softer voice so students really have to listen to what you're saying. Sometimes it works in big classes, like you try to make your voice soft because they know that, oh, I have to be quiet, I have to listen. All right. Try to raise your hand in some situations if you feel that I need to call their attention. They're not listening to me anymore. So try to raise your hand. Use a well projected voice, not too loud, not too soft as well. Voice projection is actually effective when it comes to speaking with a large group of students. Try to develop a thick skin. I just added this for fun, but yeah, but it's true, right? So they misbehave, that's their job. And as I've mentioned a while ago, they will test your boundaries. So they always do what we want them to. So no matter how much they like us, they will always do something that we don't like. So it's important to understand, do not take it personally, right? So this is just a bonus because I mentioned about online classroom. Sometimes we have to do online classes. So some of the things that you can adopt in online classroom management is to first, you can give rewards, digital badges. Are you still doing online classes? Some, yeah, maybe hybrid sometimes. Yep. Okay. So try to put distractions away, set some rules. If you want them to have an open camera, tell them right away. And make sure that you are using online teaching platforms when you communicate with them. All right. So another things, engage them through gamification. Yeah, you can also explore that. There are many other things that we could look at classroom management, but I just covered those areas that I think that needs to be given attention as a school leader, because this is a training for school leadership. So understanding the struggles of teachers in terms of classroom management is the first step into helping them become effective managers of their respective classrooms. All right, so it's already 10:02 in the Philippines. If you could have some, if you have some questions, or if you would like to ask some things, clarify things, let's get it on, because our next session is at 10:30. All right. Thank you. Right. I'm getting some valuable insights from you guys. Yeah, that's right. Students will do what they want to do. If you failed, that's right. Uh-huh. Zurita set certain guidelines. That's right. Very good, Zurita. Thank you, Ash. To conquer fear, encouragement plays an important role. Correct, Cheryl. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. By giving them the motivation and support that they need, that could really make a difference. Encourage and motivate students to participate in every class discussions. Correct, absolutely. And the next session is actually focused on that. How are we going to encourage them? There is a question from Hermini Gilda. Yes, Hermini Gilda. Clarice has a very interesting question. How can you effectively deal with seasoned teachers still implementing traditional teaching strategies among 21st century learners? Fire them. I'm kidding. So, yeah, that's an interesting, Clarice. I think, no, I'm just joking. So, what we can do actually is do not dismiss. We do not tell them that, oh, your strategy is old, or no. Maybe what we can do is this. So for example, let's say, hey, teacher A, I noticed that you're still using this strategy, but I would suggest, what if try to integrate this? What about expand this into this? Like, give them an avenue, or give them a way in which they can rediscover the approach, you know so, but not totally saying, that's obsolete, you cannot do that anymore, but try to make it more integrative, instead of telling them, oh, that's too traditional. So try to revisit, I would say, reinvent the approach. Yes, you are acknowledged, Hermione Gilda. Any other questions before we end this session, because we have another session after this? Yep. hmm okay, I think there's also some questions over here. All right. To tell the strategy, to change the strategy will, with respect. That's quite subjective, Junie, but maybe with respect for you, but for her or for him, it might be different. But yeah, that's also a good one. Thank you, June Marie, for that. Very insightful too. All right. So I will give you a break now, because the next session is a bit longer. All right, it's a bit longer. So we're gonna head on to that, and I will see you at 10:30 for the facilitating engaging discussion. So you already know how to. You already see how classroom management plays a significant role in terms of helping your teachers as school leaders. So we're going to look into that. How can they become more effective when it comes to engagement, in terms of classroom engagement? So, Hermione Gilda, I already acknowledge you. I am not sure. if you have the audio, but if you don't mind, you can type your question so I can answer you. Because I don't have the access to the audio, so I cannot. I don't have. I don't know what's happening. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Doc, we have also Mom Dorita. Uh,
Yeah, but
she,
they are not talking. So,
Yes. Yes, sir, I'm
hi,
here.
Zurita. Yeah, who?
Yes.
The most active participant. Hey,
I
Zurita.
already typed in on the chat
Yeah,
box my question. So
yeah,
I'm
I
just
saw
going
it.
to read it.
Beautiful.
How to make students value learning, especially if this was not applied to them in the past, because that is one of my struggle in college. It's very difficult to teach students, especially if the learning was not part of their objectives in the past uh, years, especially in their senior high school. So it's very difficult for them to,
Mhm,
help them engage, motivate them into learning, especially
mhm.
when it comes to disciplining and studying.
So the question is how to make
To make
students
students value
value
learning.
learning.
Yes.
Yes. So in short, how can we make them realize that they need
Yes.
this?
Yes, Doc. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Zarita. Well, the only thing we can do, but not the only, but I think one of the vital things that we can do is to provide them the avenue to explore areas that they really like. Because here's the thing, they will not value something that they don't understand. They will not value something that they do not like or that they do not enjoy. So try to look, I'm going to go back to what I've said previously. Try to look into their areas of interest. What areas are they really interested? All right. So, for example, you have a student who is very creative, all right, maybe ask him or her where is this interest coming from. Then from that you can decide, think of a way that would really spark his or her interest in terms
Mhm.
of the skill that you want to develop. Because whatever you do, guys, whatever you do, even if you enter with the fireworks, with the fantastic costume in the classroom, that doesn't matter to them as long as they are not interested with what you are doing. So the first thing that you have to do is to keep them interested. So look into
Yeah.
their interests, try to understand what's appealing to them, right? Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, maybe
Uh,
they are on the different types of, learning sphere, I would say.
okay, Doc, another one because I'm
Sure.
in college kasi, Doc, no?
Yeah.
I'm teaching college. So somehow, no, maybe because of the transition from transition time wherein you're going to teach first year college. So from previous senior high school, the I think the uh how they apply or how they engage into uh maybe their strategies in the previous school maybe somehow is very relaxed. So that's why they they are shocked when they come to college. Sometimes very
I don't think so that they are shocked because in senior high school, they already have a taste of college. But you might have a point in terms of the expectations that they have for the college or the university. So I think that is also an area that should be looked at. Like, what is really the expectations of the students when it comes to the university life or college life? So yeah, that's one also because they did not really have like there's no book to learn on how you can prepare for the college, right? So yeah, it's all about providing them a positive learning environment. I think the school student support unit would play a significant role on that in terms of setting the expectations and letting them know that there's a support, because this anxiety comes from the fact that they feel that they will be let down. So that's one of the
yes.
sources of the anxiety. They feel that no one is there for them. They feel that, oh my God, I'm gonna fail and I'm gonna, you know. So so by letting them know that there is a support and that they can access any support that they need, I think that would somehow change the narrative, I would say. Another
Mm.
question, last question, I would say. Thank you, Zurita. Is it appropriate to use tangible reinforcement to those on task or behave students? Um, I'm not really a fan of tangible reinforcement, but could work. It could work. It depends on the type of students that you have, and also you have to look into the rules of the school. For example, um, specific private schools would have rules on that, so it's important to align that with the rule. And I'm not gonna say it's all the time, but sometimes maybe it would work. Uh, I'm not sure if I answered the question, Mom Rod. Janet Flores, teachers should always make their learners engage and that they are happy with the result. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes they will not be happy with the result, but I 100% agree that engagement is the key, Janet. You are absolutely right. Okay, you can save the questions and pour them out after our next session. Let's have a quick break, and I'll see you at 10:30, guys.
To our Facebook Live viewers, this is only for the registered participants. So no need to send stars, and you may watch also for free, but there's no certification after if you are not registered. So thank you po.